Hey everyone, I'm making this vlog in response to my friend Davey, who sometimes doesn't act like a friend, but that's another story, who wrote on Instagram in response to my criticism of those calling Robert McNair, the Houston Texans owner, who I know, racist, that others would call me racist, and then made a comment basically saying that I shouldn't post certain things, mainly because my point of view is contrarian to his. Well, that was wrong. First of all, I've known Davey Cook, since 1985, when Mr. Cook was a student at the University of California, Berkeley, as was I, Master of City Planning in the Department of City Regional Planning at Berkeley, and he, an undergraduate student, who ran the Eshelman Hall, 11th floor student library, where I met my girlfriend at the time, but that's another story. And in fact, I remember Davey making statements that were not dissimilar to the inmates guarding the prison statement that Bob McNair made in an NFL meeting, ill-advisedly, last Wednesday, I believe. And no one got mad at Davey, but the fact of the matter was that he was running the library and occasionally had to tell people, you know, they couldn't eat their food in a certain area and so on. You know, administer the rules of the library, that sort of thing. That's to be expected, right? I'm not excusing what Bob McNair said at all. All I'm saying is this, to reiterate my point and then to make a statement to Davey, that first of all, I've known Bob McNair since November 1st of 1999. It was at the Wilson cocktail party at the NFL Fall Owners meeting, where on that same day, it was a Monday, Walter Payton died. And it was also the same day that the NFL granted Mr. McNair and his new Houston Texans organization the right to hold the 32nd franchise in the National Football League, the Houston Texans. We were both at something called the Wilson cocktail party that evening, and Bob invited me to sit at his table. Neither one of us knew many people in the room at all. Of course, I knew Amy Trask and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations Roger Goodell, who was later and now NFL Commissioner, and of course NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, but didn't know anyone else. And so Bob and I were sitting there together as equals, and he treated me as such. Bob had just sold his cogeneration plants for $1.4 billion and used that to buy the Texans. He did what anyone else who has a business would do. They sold the business off to start another one. Okay, fine. We talked about that. We talked about the feeling that he was going through of establishing this new franchise. We talked about the food. We talked about suits. We exchanged a lot of small talk, and then at some point we figured out we both better mingle. And so we did. That was my first experience with Bob McNair. And then after my Super Bowl bid experience, and then establishing what is now Zenny 62 Media and covering the NFL draft since 2005, when I became the first person to cover the NFL draft with a YouTube channel in 2006, and you can see it right here on Zenny 62, or if you just type Bob McNair, Mr. McNair allowed me to interview him. He's never refused an interview from me, ever. Even the first time that I talked with him on camera, and that was a different experience because, as you will see on the video, there are people talking with him with microphones, but a guy with a camcorder, it wasn't a normal thing, and putting it on YouTube wasn't a normal thing at the time. And yet Bob allowed me to talk with him and ask, and also answered a question that was out of the realm. It had to do with budgets with respect to players and whether or not he had one expenditure for both Mario Edwards, defensive end from North Carolina, who he eventually drafted, and Reggie Bush, the great running back from University of Southern California, all right? So that was my second encounter. And since then, actually, technically, not my second one, but my second major one. And since then, Bob and I are friends to the point where he always comes up, asks me how I'm doing, out of the blue. Owners can walk by, Bob will come up, offer his hand out, shake, you know, and he's never, ever treated me with anything less than the best respect and friendship a person could ask for in any situation. And that goes from 1999 to 2009 to now, almost 20 years. Okay? This is 2017. So I have never had a bad experience with Bob McNair, ever. He complimented me when I talked about the growth of my media company. He's always been, verbally supportive. I've never asked him to invest. All right? Someone out there say, maybe I should. It's another story. What bothers me about this situation is the desire among many on social media to make a blanket judgment about a person based on one thing that they said that was stupid by their own admission in a meeting, not in public, in which the context of it was never properly explained. How did this come up? Who said what to whom? What led to that? What was the aftermath? We got bits and pieces, not the whole. But that's beside the point. It was not the smart comment to make. But the fact of the matter is, inmates guarding the asylum or prison is an idiom. It's commonly used. I've used it. Everybody has. No one is immune. No one. The overarching problem today is there is a lack of recognition of the need to establish, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, black self-determination. I mean, think about it, okay? New business starts in America over 30 years have consistently declined, but minority representation in new business starts has consistently increased. And of those minority businesses, I believe the total percentage is 20%, somewhere in there, actually 35, 40%. 43% are minority. Of that number, 53% are Asian, but only 11% black. And the components of that are because of factors like this. People like Draymond Green, like Andre Iguodala, and Kevin Durant invest in startup companies, particularly in the Bay Area. And yet, they don't seek out black tech startup entrepreneurs to invest in. There's no organization that invests in black tech entrepreneur companies. None. Yet, there's one that represents, the Latino community. You have to ask what's going on. If a person like me is out there at Zenny62 Media, no one congratulates me for growing. It's almost like I am a reminder of, I'm not sure what shouldn't be. That's the message that I get from my own people who kind of look like me more often than not. And that should not be in this day and age. We're at the greatest moment in our time to be alive. Why do I say that? I say that because of this fact. You could be in your bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, online, making a vlog, writing code, doing something that has an impact on the world. If you understand what the butterfly effect is, that is basically that one small change in one part of the world can affect big change somewhere else, then you get what I'm talking about. You really, really do. You have to have the mindset of building your own organizations, raising your own money, establishing your own platform, be it a media platform, be it an architectural firm. A fellow that I know whose name I'm not going to refer to here, had a brilliant idea for a baseball design for the Oakland Athletics. Yet, he wanted the Athletics to take it, and he had this idea that he needed to partner with someone white. But the only person out there who gave him his first media exposure and consistently, me, as a black, me, okay? Yet he didn't do his due diligence to check out the people who were white he was partnering with. That's another story. All right? And then, as I told him, even to the point of very recently, hey, you know what? You're a genius. Take those designs that you created for baseball, that baseball stadium that won, and use it as a template for others. I wanted to get him involved with a Raiders proposal that Mark Davis asked me to bring up. He didn't. But he had no problem partnering with someone white. And he'll say, well, I brought them along. But hey, look, they were using him too. It wasn't the kind of partnership between African Americans, all right, that needs to happen. And I'm not talking about a way that's racist either. I'm only talking about what everyone else does, women partnering with women, Jewish community supporting each other. You get the idea, okay? By the way, my last name is Jewish. Long story. We don't do enough of that. And then when something goes wrong in the modern age, we get on the street and protest. Or we get online and we say things about people that are bad. And that changes nothing. That's what I'm saying to you, Davey. That changes nothing. We have been many years now protesting, and yet one guy, there's a guy that 2 years ago in 2015 wrote an initiative, an anti-gay initiative that had it was this close to getting on the ballot. And had it went on the ballot and gotten votes, someone would have been able to harm another person in California to the point of, ending their lives if they even thought the person was gay. Think about what I'm telling you, okay? One person did that, spent $200 to have it filed. It went under the radar of the Attorney General's office. I mean, was glad, spotted it, and the Attorney General at the time, Kamala Harris, had to go to court to have it removed. I say all that to say this. While that was happening, Black Lives Matter came out with its 10-point police reform program, went on the streets and protested. Where was the initiative, and where is the initiative to have that 10-point plan be something that police up and down the state of California have to adopt and have to use? You see what I'm getting at? We act as if there is someone above us. You cannot have someone above you unless you let them be above you. But if you think of yourself as the equal to them, that does not happen. There was another example. The day that Oakland Raider president Mark Bourdain was named just that, the day that Jack Del Rio was introduced as the Raider president, we were standing, it was at the press conference, and at the end of the press conference, we were standing in a group and of black folks, but I wasn't even thinking about it. One guy said, "This is bad," and I said, "Bad what? Why? What? What are you talking about?" He goes, "You know what I mean." I said, "No, I don't." "Why is it bad?" He said, "Because of this." I said, "Because of what?" "You know, this." And I looked around, he said, "Because of all," I said, wait. "Because we're all black?" I said, "Look, don't ever in your life," and I say this with all due respect, say that to me again. There is nothing wrong, or think that. There is nothing wrong with a group of black folks standing in one place. It's not a joke. It should be something that happens more often than not, and no one should ever think there's something wrong with it. The problem is that all too often we have the equation reversed. We're more concerned about who a person dates. Hey, what color is that girl? Yada, yada, yada. And we're more concerned about who a person dates than whether or not they're supporting the African American community, even by, in my case, giving someone black, like Davey D, a voice. Not that Davey D doesn't have it, not that you don't have your own voice, Davey, you do. But you know that I never miss an opportunity to interview you and give you the respect you deserve. And you know that I paid you to blog a number of times, and you also know that I've told you you're worth a ton of money. I have never, ever, not once, ever said anything to you that was devaluing of the person you are. I've never called you a name, ever. And there's a reason for that, okay? We have enough stuff on the outside coming into us. We don't need to attack each other. That's not the point. But we do need to point out where there are problems in how we think. And right now, there's a gigantic problem with how we think. It's wrong. And what happens is that as this problem exists, a new generation turns 18. Boom, 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 boom. Comes into adulthood, and the problem isn't solved. The problem is not solved. And yet, we're at the best time in our lives to solve this problem. And how do you do it? By starting businesses and supporting those businesses. By athletes like the Draymond Greens of the world, like the Steph Currys of the world, like supporting anyone they think, hey, that person's black and in business. Let me see if I can support that person in some kind of way. That's the way it's done. That's the way it's done. But not this way. Not this way of, calling Bob McNair a racist when, you know what, we've got bigger problems than what a person said in a behind closed door meeting who happened to be fortunate enough to buy their rights to start a football team, who in and of himself hires as his right hand, not only has Rick Smith as his general manager who's black, smart brother, okay, but also his right hand who's black, all right? So, and this isn't something that Bob McNair does and you think, oh, it's charity. If you think that, then you're playing into exactly the problem I'm talking about. No, not at all, all right? Bob McNair treats people who are black, particularly when they're confident, as his equal, because he realizes he can learn, he can benefit from that. That's what any good business person does. Heck, that's what any good person does. Forget business, all right? That's Bob. So someone's pointed out that, I think Bob's put $1 million in the Trump campaign. Okay, he made a mistake. I'm sure he'd admit it. Because Bob is not the kind of person, a Republican, who buys into the Donald Trump of right now. All right? The only thing Bob would be afraid of is losing the tax-exempt rights for bond issues for future stadiums or anything that might hamper the franchise value of the Houston Texans. That's really what's in his head. Let me tell you something. Draymond Green says he wants to be a billionaire. Draymond Green has the same concerns with respect to the companies he invests in. I think he doesn't. You think he wouldn't use that term as well? Draymond Green one of these days is going to slip up and use the same term that Bob McNair did, but no one's going to say, oh, hey, dude, you're racist. And that has to do with all of the companies that he's investing in. My question to Draymond is, hey, man, in fact, why don't you invest in black companies? And why don't you help start a revolution of investment in black entrepreneurs, tech or not? All right? So my point is, Davey, try to not flame people like me because we're corporate heretics. The person who's the insider that tries to exact change by building his own company within companies and working from the inside out. I mean, look, I'm on the White House press list. I've covered Comic-Con in San Diego for the past, 9 years? CES Las Vegas, same amount of time. I go to every NFL owners meeting I can. I'm in those places, but I got into those places, you know why? Because when all is said and done, I wasn't afraid to be there, and I believed I belonged there just as anyone else. And in order to succeed in anything in life, you've got to believe that you're the best damn person that walked in the room. If you don't belong there. Our problem as a group is we have to tell our kids and our friends that you're the best damn person that walked in the room. And you better believe it when you walk in there, and don't leave. Stay there and make yourself known. All right. Now, I'll be back with my regular live stream. I'll see you all.